Hey, welcome to 7 Tech. My name is Curtis. Today we've got a somewhat older Samsung laptop. It is a Notebook 7 Spin. It actually belongs to my mom, and for a couple of years now she's been telling me, hey, my laptop's running slow, can you take a look at it? And I've told her, hey, look, you need to back up everything off of it, because I'm probably going to recommend just wiping and reinstalling Windows, start over fresh, nice and fast. And she has finally got everything backed up. So we're going to take a look at it and see what the problem is. So for anyone who may have this exact model, let me give you the model number. It's, like I said, it's a Notebook 7 Spin, and it's a 740U. The exact model number is NP740U5M, just in case you actually happen to have this and need to follow along. I'm ready for first boot. She said it takes a long time to boot up, so I've got my watch here. We're going to start a stopwatch, see how long it takes, just out of curiosity. So here we go. Power on and start. Come on, there we go. 35 seconds to get to the login screen. It wasn't too bad. So we're at 2 minutes and 10 seconds. The desktop's still trying to load up. So the screen went black here, and then popped up this blue screen that says just a moment. Looks somewhat similar to maybe how the screen that says, hey, it's time to update to Windows 11 may look, or maybe some kind of Windows update, and then it just goes away. If you have any idea what that was, leave that in the comments. Just curious. 3 minutes now, and I think it's still booting up and loading stuff. This desktop is about as organized as I expect it to be. Nope, still loading up some sticky notes. I see she's also got the paranoia tape on the camera. Is this usable yet? No, Spotify is loading. About to hit 4 minutes. Let's just see if File Explorer will open. Well, it's confirmed it's very slow. So we're just hit 5 minutes, and I think it's maybe fully started up, all its startup apps running and all that now. So 5 minutes until this is usable. That was a pretty long time. So at the 5 minute mark, I thought it was finished starting up. It's still not. We've got Bitwarden, the password manager, popping up. I tried to close Spotify. That took about another 30 seconds to finally close Spotify. And as you see, her password manager is just sitting here. Okay, let's take a look at Task Manager. Just see what's going on here, if there's some kind of process that is eating up CPU time. Let's look at her performance here. And right away, I see her hard drive disk is maxed out at 100% usage. Now, I thought I was going to find her CPU usage pegged out, maybe some malware or just some rogue app in the background just eating up CPU time, or just a lot of startup processes, but her CPU is only sitting at 8% usage. Her memory is good. She's only got 3 gigs used. But if you look at this disk, her hard drive here, it's pegged out at 100% usage, which it shouldn't be. It's kind of making me think the hard drive's bad, which if your hard drive's bad, you're definitely gonna have some slow boot up times. It doesn't look like much stuff is running. I mean, what would be using the hard drive right now? I'm gonna shut this down, open up the back, take a look. This was, I think she got this maybe 2016 or 2017, so it's possible it still has a spinning hard drive. So upgrading to an SSD would be a good option anyways. So we're gonna take it apart and see what's in here as far as the hard drive goes. And I'm gonna go ahead and suspect that the hard drive's bad. It's still pegged out at 100% usage. I wanted to do one more thing before I moved on with taking it apart and replacing the hard drive, and that was to download Crystal Disk Info, which can view smart errors. And what smart error, or what SMART stands for, I think is a self-monitoring analysis and reporting tool. Don't quote me on that, but it's to do with hard drive health monitoring. But I opened up Google Chrome and it took forever to load. I was trying to get to Crystal Disk Info to download it. It was just taking so long. I said, forget it. But if you suspect your hard drive may be failing, you can download Crystal Disk Info and it will allow you to view those smart errors to see if there is any kind of errors being thrown on your drive. Now to get this open and see what kind of drive we got in here. I'm suspecting it's going to be a spinning hard drive, mechanical hard drive. We'll upgrade it to an SSD and it's going to fix all the problems. This neat little tool here, it's Fanttik, I guess you say. And you just push this in and it pops out like that. Nice little tool. It's electric precision screwdriver. Anyway, I just wanted to show that off. I'll put the link in for it down in the description, but it makes this kind of work a lot easier. Now I've got all the screws holding the back panel on. It should just pull off. So it looks like it's held on with clips as well. So I got a few different little pry tools here. Just gonna slip it in between the crack right there. See if it pries up. And when you're doing this, you want to be very careful not to stick this far in because you can catch, there may be some cables along the edge here and you could cut the cables. I've seen that happen. I actually have a video about it. Someone was doing this exact thing and they cut the power cable for the button that turned the computer on. And here's the hard drive, and it is a mechanical hard drive. This is the motor for it, for the spinning platters. So we're going to take this out and we'll replace it with a SATA SSD. Now we've ordered a Samsung Evo 500 gig SATA SSD. We'll be replacing the mechanical hard drive with it. Now this was a 1 terabyte, but she wasn't using anywhere near that. So we just went with the 500 gig. It'll still be plenty storage space for her. So we're going to start by removing these 4 mount screws here for the hard drive. That just should lift up. Pull this straight back. Just give it a little kind of wiggle it. There we go. Just pulls out. Now we need to take the screws off here on each side to get this bad hard drive out of the little caddy here and put the new drive in. Now I have the new SATA SSD here. Going to put it in. Let's see which way it goes. So it sits like that, and the connector, see there, that doesn't match up. So just make sure you orient your drive correctly. Plug in there. Then we're just going to take the screws and mount it back into the caddy. Now I've got the 4 screws in, holding the SSD into the caddy. Plug it back in. Be kind of careful with these ribbons here. These little thin ribbon cables are kind of delicate. They can break really easy. Just sit it back down in the mount and screw the screws back in. And now we can pop the back plate back on. So it just snaps. Check all the way around, make sure it's clipped all the way. Now we can put the screws back in. Now that the laptop's back together, we can move on to installing Windows. Now that we removed the hard drive that had the Windows operating system on it, we now have a SSD in here that is blank. There's no OS. So we need to get a USB drive with Windows on it so we can install Windows onto the new SSD. There's a few ways to go about doing that. Microsoft has their own Windows boot media creation tool. I think it's, if you Google something like that, Windows Boot Media Creation Tool, you should find it. You can also, and it's my personal way of doing it, is just downloading the Windows 10 or 11.iso file, and you can write that to a drive with a tool like Rufus. I use a tool called Ventoy that allows me to put multiple .isos on here. So I have Windows 10, Windows 11, I have some Linux installs and different troubleshooting tools on here. But there's multiple ways to do it. So you could search Windows Boot Media Creation Tool, Windows.iso, and use a tool like Rufus, which is R-U-F-U-S, or Ventoy, V-E-N-T-O-Y, to create a drive. So we're gonna plug that in now. For this particular laptop, F2 is the key that is used to get into the BIOS. We need to get into the BIOS to tell it, hey, boot to this USB drive, and not try to boot to the SSD, which doesn't have anything to boot to. Each computer is different. Sometimes it's delete, sometimes it's F10, F12, F2. Those are some of the common ones. So you're gonna power it on, and whichever key it is to enter your BIOS for your computer, you just wanna keep pressing that once you power it on. And here we are into the BIOS. Every BIOS is going to look different. So you want to look for something like boot, and here it is. And actually, before that, under sysinfo here, you can see, make sure that it did actually detect your new drive before you move forward, because if it's not seeing the new drive, there's no point in moving forward. So here we can see SATA port 1, Samsung SSD 870 EVO, 500 gigabyte. So we're good there. So now you want to click on boot. And if you see this secure boot control anywhere, if you try to boot and you have some problems, it might say something like security violation or something like that. You possibly need to turn off the secure boot. So we're going to do that because it could cause problems when trying to boot to the USB drive. Once you've got Windows installed and everything, you can go and turn that back on. Now, some BIOS will have like a boot override option, and it'll give you a list of different things you can boot to, such as your USB drive or your hard drive or your network, and you can just select it and it'll boot to it. This one doesn't have that, but it has a boot device priority, and that's just the list in order that it'll try and boot to. So we're going to click on that, and boot option 1, we can see it already has the SanDisk USB drive selected, and there's actually no other options besides disable. So now we want to hit save and reboot, and it should boot to the USB drive. Now here is the Ventoy boot screen, and you can see I have a bunch of different .iso files. Depending on what route you went to get a bootable USB drive with Windows on it, this may look different. If you use the Windows Boot Media Creation Tool, it should just boot right up into the Windows install page. If you use Rufus, I believe it would do the same, just boot right in. With Ventoy, I have the option to select different .isos to boot to. So we're going to boot to this Windows 10, hit enter, boot in normal mode, and now we're into the Windows setup screen. Now on this page, you just want to select next, install now, accept the terms, next, and we want to do a custom, because we're installing Windows only. We're not trying to upgrade or keep previous files. It's a brand new install. Here's our new drive. We can see it's 465 once formatted. So select your drive, hit new, apply, okay. Now you'll see that when you hit new, it went ahead and partitioned the drive into a couple different partitions. This is your main one. It's got your full 465 gigs. And these other two are just some necessary partitions needed for Windows to operate correctly. Now we need to select the drive where we want to install it to, and we want to install it onto the biggest partition, which is the 465 gigabyte partition. Hit next, and now Windows is installing. Now once it gets done installing, it'll reboot, and this time it will actually boot from the SSD to the new Windows install and get you into the setup screen. So you want to select your region. United States for me.
Your keyboard is set to
and Cortana is talking to you. Click down here to shut her up on the little mic, and you can plug your USB drive as well. Select your keyboard layout. You want to add a second one? No. Skip. Now on this screen, if you connect to the internet, it's going to make you create a Microsoft account and log in with your Microsoft account. I personally prefer to have a local Windows account rather than a Microsoft account. So I always hit I don't have internet and it allows me to make a local account. That's going to be your preference, up to you. If you like signing into Windows with your Microsoft account and having the few little sync features and stuff, you can go ahead and connect to your internet now. But me personally, I click I don't have internet and continue on from there. And it's just going to tell you again, are you sure you're going to not have these features? Yes, continue with limited setup. Enter in your username. Next, I'm going to create a password. Now it's going to ask you some security questions, and I've never had to use these. I don't even know where they come up at, but pick you one, fill it in. Now you come to the privacy setting page. I personally turn all this off. I don't want to send anything to Microsoft that I don't have to. Hit accept. We don't want to use Cortana. I believe she's dead now anyways, so hit not now. Now here we are booted into the Windows desktop. It's going to hit maybe later on this. Now one of the first things you want to do with the new install is get your drivers installed. So if you type your Windows key and type Device Manager, click on Device Manager, and you'll see you have all these devices here with exclamation marks, meaning that it's unknown device, it needs the drivers to operate correctly. Now you can go to like Samsung's website, type in the model number of your laptop, or if it's a PC, go to your motherboard's website, type in the model of your motherboard, and you'll get a list of drivers for that particular laptop or motherboard that you could download and install. But one of the easier ways is, once you get this connected to the internet, just go to Windows Update, and Windows Update is pretty good now at finding all the drivers you need. I've got this plugged to my internet now via Ethernet. I'm going to go to Start, Settings. Let's maximize this. Go to Updates and Security and tell it check for updates. Now you can see it's doing some security updates, some Windows updates, but if you scroll down, you can see it's installing your actual drivers for your hardware as well. You see Realtek, that's going to probably be a sound card. You got some Intel drivers, your NVIDIA drivers for your graphics card. Anyway, just let this go. It says restart required. Don't do that yet. Let all these finished and then do a restart. Okay, that took a little while, but you can see most of them say pending restart, pending restart. We had a couple of download errors. We'll just go ahead and do the restart and then rerun the Windows Update and see if they work again. Hopefully those errors will flesh themselves out. So let's click Restart Now. Now Windows has restarted. I logged back in, and part of the update was installing the Copilot app. So for now, we're just going to X off of this. And now we want to go back to Settings again, back to Updates, and check for updates. And you want to keep doing the check for updates until it says completely up to date. Now while we're waiting for this update to finish, we can go ahead and click on View Optional Updates, because a lot of times you'll find your drivers in there as well. And here you can see Intel other hardware. You got your Realtek network adapter, looks like, your NVIDIA display driver. So just go and select all these and tell them to install as well. Now I just did some updates and did a restart. I came back to here, it says you're up to date, but I like to give it one last check just to make sure. Sometimes it'll come up and still find more. Now we want to do these view optional updates again just to make sure, because we're probably still missing a few drivers, and we are. Download and install, let those go again. It's a process. You just keep checking for updates, keep installing. We're going to hit it one more time, check for updates, view optional, and again, install. Now it needs a restart, update and restart. Here we are again after the restart. We're going to do check for updates again. And now we're up to date. There's no more view optional updates. We're good to go on the updates. Now hit your Windows key, type in Device Manager, and now see how it looks. There's no devices out here with exclamation marks. All the drivers are installed. That part's good to go. And there you go. That's all it takes to replace a bad or old mechanical slow hard drive with a new fast SATA SSD. That's going to be one of the best and easiest and probably cheapest performance enhancements you can do to an old computer is replace that mechanical hard drive with a SATA SSD. It's going to boot faster. It's going to be snappier performance when you click in and open Windows. If you know your computer has a mechanical hard drive in it, replace it and boot off of a new SATA SSD. You saw the process for reinstalling Windows. Not much to it. Just follow the steps. I would guess probably the most complicated thing is getting a Windows USB boot drive so you can install it. I didn't show it on camera, but I did reopen Task Manager after this and check the disk usage, and it was sitting at 0% usage, just like it should be until something is using it. Now there are a few more things I'll go into this computer and do as far as installing some of the programs I know my mom uses and do a few little tweaks, get rid of some of this stuff down here on the start menu. But if you were following along with this computer is ready to go and be used. Just customize it the way you want, install the programs you want, and it's good to go. If you enjoyed this video or you've been following along and it helped you out some, please give me a thumbs up and consider subscribing. Also, if you live near the Alabama-Mississippi state line down on the Gulf Coast and you have a computer that needs some work or you'd like one built, feel free to reach out to me. I offer my services for free. Contact info is down in the description. My name is Curtis. Thanks for watching 7 Tech. All right, so I've got and this computer, there you have it. That's all it takes. There you have it. That's all it takes. So there you go. You saw what it takes. And there you have it. That's all it takes. There you go. You saw what it takes. This has been Curtis.